When Wreck-It Ralph came to theaters, New Jersey was suffering from Hurricane Sandy. Um, I was very blessed, very lucky that my house and my town hadn't suffered much damage. No one we knew was hurt. No one we knew was killed. So let me just say that. Let me get that out of the way. I don't want any pity or sympathy. Give it to those who really need it. But as things started to come back, we were bored out of our minds, basically, because my house lost power for a long time. We were running out of things to do since our batteries were dying. We had no way to charge them. We were pretty much driving each other crazy by playing Monopoly at candlelight. But I had an idea. As soon as the phones began working, that maybe we could try to see a movie, try and get the edge off. I called up to see when Wreck-It Ralph was playing, and there was one theater running it. And the only one who wanted to go with me was my dad. Which kind of fits because I don't think anyone else in my family would have appreciated this movie because of the video game references. My dad likes to play the occasional video game, and he's pretty savvy when it comes to technology and what's popular and what's not. So we went to see it. There were very few people besides us, but it was a very enjoyable experience. I don't want to say I had high hopes for this movie, but I don't want to say I had low hopes either. I just didn't know what would come. This was a very new experience. Video game movies aren't something done well that often. Mostly because I feel that when video game movies are done, they try to appeal to one genre, and that doesn't work out. Whereas Disney decided they couldn't just go for one game and one genre. They hit hard, and they got as many resources and materials as possible, and that's what made it work. And what really shines out is the story, because there was a lot of stuff my dad didn't understand the references to. And I would be next to him pointing, oh, you know, that's from Solid Snake. But despite my annoyances, and despite this, there were times my dad still laughed out loud. There were times that still shocked him. And he genuinely enjoyed the movie. And I was so happy for that. The movie itself, of course, is fantastic. What can I say that hasn't already been said? The video game references, the characters, these were all shocks to me. I had no idea a movie could be this good in this day and age. So let me just point out the things that shocked me. First was Penelope with her pixelexia. I thought that was kind of a brave thing to do, even just mentioning that word, because here's a kid who can't control what she does. She sees it as normal because it happens to her all the time, but everyone else considers her a freak. She's an outcast because they cannot understand her. And that's, of course, not only incredibly disappointing, but that's something that happens to real-life people for conditions they can't control, for things they will always have to live with. And that's wonderful. Well, not wonderful. I mean wonderful in the sense that Disney tried to stand out to these people. They tried to make a link to these people. That people with autism, people with disabilities, they're not people to be shunned and outcast. They're people to be understood. They're humans as much as everyone else with their own problems. They're not trying to cause trouble. They're not trying to be outcasts. That's just the way they are, and they deserve to be treated normally. And eventually, Vanellope discovers that her glitchness is as much advantage as anything else. Another thing I thought was simply fantastic was the character of Calhoun. In films before this, she would have been the gruff, bitchy type who's no nonsense, is mean to everybody, and needs her heart opened up. But with Calhoun, she's actually a genuinely good, nice person. She just doesn't come off that way because she's gruff, which is okay. This is a good kind of character. This was a very influential character to me. I wanted to write one right like her. For an example of this, remember the scene where Felix and Calhoun are stuck in the quicksand, or the gag, and in order to make the vines drop down, the Laffy Taffy vines if I remember correctly, Calhoun has to hit Felix in the face with the hammer. But she doesn't want to do this at first. She doesn't want to hurt him. And when she does start hurting him, it's very light at first. She's not someone who enjoys violence, but she understands sometimes it has to be done for the sake of others. She is human. She has problems and heartbreak, and eventually, she doesn't need a man, essentially, to open up. She just needs someone to listen and understand and care for her. There's nothing wrong with that. She's a wonderful character on her own, and I enjoyed every second of her, even though I was really dreading it, because I thought she would be the bitchy, man-hating kind of woman that we've seen way too often in cartoons and film before. But nope, she's actually a good person. She likes it. She likes people. She wants to help people, but she just comes off as a bit rough because of her upbringing. And the next shock, possibly the biggest one of all, was the reveal of the villain. Oh my god, I did not see that coming. It was amazing how they blended Turbo and King Candy together. It's the kind of movie where you have to rewatch and see what little hints you can pick up. It was so brilliant, so clever. It came from, I don't want to say kind of nowhere because that would imply laziness, but it was such a great twist and shock that I had not felt for years. I remember literally gasping and sinking into my seat as the reveal happened. I knew he could be a villain. I did not think he could be that kind of villain. So when he turned into a cyborg, I shot a brick. That was the most terrifying thing I had seen in children's animation in so long. His whole grotesque appearance, his savagery in battle, that was amazing. I felt such a thrill go through me, a fear thrill. When you write a villain that is that terrifying and will scare the shit out of people, I think you've done a fantastic job. And let's face it, did anyone see this coming? Did anyone think he would merge into a cyborg? Did anyone think he would become across as that terrifying? So, I think that meant a lot to me because it's such a signal of hope for the future that we will get more girls, women, and villains like this. All three of whom who are fantastic in their own ways, who are so shocking to see. And maybe someday we won't be so shocked by these appearances. Maybe someday this will be normal to us. But for now, I'm going to enjoy my shock and hope I can get shocked some more, because we need films to show us that disabilities are okay. We need films to show us that being gruff on the outside is okay. And we need films to show us that we need to know that films that scare us are okay too. It's good for kids to be scared. Some people like being scared. I don't think Jack Skellington would disagree, would you? So, I guess I'm already saying stuff that's already been said a million times over, but these are my opinions. And I kind of hope I can show this movie to my sisters and my mother, even though they know so little about video games, because the story itself is fantastic. And if you haven't seen it, I'm sorry if I spoiled things for you. But give it a chance, because this is something not to be missed.